tonight. It's so good to see a nice crowd here tonight. And I'm just really excited for tonight because we are in for a treat of just some really great information. And me having the natural background, being a wellness chiropractor for the past 14 years, I know that there's going to be some things in here that Brian's dug up that I don't know too. So I'm excited to learn right along with the rest of us. Brian is got a big background in nutrition, macro and micronutrition, and he just is one of those people that always wants to know more and always is looking for the answer. So when he gets in and wants to research something, he just immerses himself. So I think we are all going to come back with some information no matter where you're starting from tonight. So come on up, Mr. Brian Smith.
Since you're up there, you might as well.
Sure.
Yeah? So, I never thought I would have one of these things. This is like way technology challenging for me to run an iPad. This isn't an iPad. What is this thing called? Notebook? So, I'm gonna kind of start by being gentle. But today isn't a real gentle subject. So I'm just going to ask a real quick question of you, and we'll kind of go from there. How many know what the cancer rate is in the U.S. today?
1 and 2.
So I hear 1 in 3, 1 in 2, 1 in 5. Any other guesses?
1 in 20.
1 in 20. So
1 in 7.
it's now greater than 1 in 2. So if you were to take a coin out of your pocket, and I was going to do this, but we're starting, and I literally have this measured out to the minute increment, believe it or not. I was at Mike's today, and I was splitting some wood, because I heat with wood at my house, and I was literally going over it and over and over to shrink this down to an hour and 45 minutes. So, and it's measured, and so we're starting a little bit after, so I'll make sure we finish on time. But I'm going to give you an idea. Right now, it's approaching 55% of people get cancer. And so if you were to sit there and you really think about it, Mike and Tina are here, and you think about one of the two of them statistically is going to get cancer. And as a husband, when you look at your wife and you think that, or as a wife, you look at your husband and you do that, and you sit there and you really think of those percentages, it's kind of scary. Now I'm going to give you another statistic that may enlighten what all of this came around for me, and I'll give you a little background on myself real quick. Years ago, I'm one of those people, and my mom will attest to this, I'm not one that gets into trouble. I'm not a troublemaker. I was never one of those kids in high school and college. It just was my thing. But I didn't really always follow, and I'm definitely not a follower of the crowd. Okay, I'm 49 years of age. I've never tasted alcohol. I've never done a drug. I've never chewed. I've never smoked. Just wasn't my thing, because I looked at the crowd and I saw what path that led them on, and I went, no, I'm not really there. Is that a fair statement? When I was taking my nutrition classes, I was doing a lot of research because I love to challenge the teacher, not to challenge their authority, but I wanted to be known as an equal. I didn't want to be the dumbest kid in the room, and I wanted to hang out with the smart kids, and the professors, they were the smartest ones. So I started studying nutrition at a level that I knew professors were during the class. And all the research that I found, kind of give you an idea, all the research said you needed to take supplements to be healthy. Yet our curriculum said supplements were unnecessary and a waste of money. And so at that point I started doing more and more research, started getting into accredited documentation of nutrition, read a study very, very in-depth. They had 5,000 people. They literally prescribed when they ate, what they ate, how they prepared, where they bought it from. And supposedly this was going to give them full nutrition for their bodies to be healthy, optimal. Anybody got to guess how many out of those thousands of people, when they did the blood test, skin test, urine test, fecal test, hair test, how many of them actually were optimal? Anybody got a guess?
10%.
10%. 5%. Got a guess?
Less than
She's
five.
close.
2%.
2%.
She's even closer with the word no or none.
Less than one.
There was not one single person they considered optimal. There was not one single person they considered at a medium level of health. They were all below average in health when they did those tests. And so when I brought that to the professor, I'm giving you a little background where this all came from. And so she right away was a female teacher, and Kathy right away said, that must be a bogus type study. And I said, well, it was, kind of a yucky school, not very many people go there, nobody's ever heard of Harvard, not a big deal, 5,000 people, the most accredited doctors in the world were doing this test to prove supplements were unnecessary, but they found that they were. You're right, North Hennepin and Harvard, St. Cloud State, Harvard, those are schools I've been to, Concordia College. And it really started me challenging the way I looked at nutrition. At that point in time, I bought into understanding supplements and I wanted to find out what are good ones. That's when I got into micronutrition, because it doesn't matter what gets into your body, it matters what gets into your cells. There have never been a calcium they've ever proven that's in a pill form that can get into your cells. It can get into your body, but it can't get into your cells. So that's why I don't recommend pill form of calcium. Is that a fair statement? Because it doesn't matter what goes in, and if it goes in and it's not digestible, not workable, it actually can cause harm. Matter of fact, about 85% of all blockages they take out at the University of Minnesota is just undigested pill form of calcium. Okay, so if you're going to take calcium, take a liquid. You know what I mean? Just simple facts. So what I'm going to share with you, and the reason I'm going through this background is, I'm not a doctor. Okay, I'm not. We have a couple in a room. I have taught doctors, and through this I got a chance to speak at small little hospitals, like little clinics and stuff. Sarah, yeah. Thank you, honey. Love you. And so what happened at these small little local places like Mayo Clinic, anybody heard of that one? Mm-hmm. Okay, been there, taught there. We had doctors walk in, sign. I was teaching what are good supplements. They would sign and leave. The nurses came in, signed, and stayed. When I turned in the people who stayed, the board of directors said, where are the doctors that attended, or where are the doctors that came in and signed in? Do you hear the difference in sentences? Was not who are the doctors who stayed, who attended, it was the doctors who did what? Signed in. And I said I threw that away, which I really hadn't, and at that point in time, if I wanted to get paid, I had to give them that slip. So if you're asking me if you want good advice, go to your nurses if you're going to ask any sort of supplement advice. Every time I've done at different hospitals, the nurses always attended. They took notes, they asked questions, they were thorough. And I'm not trying to bash doctors, but the reality of it is, they're not given an incentive to keep you healthy. And so, I'm starting, and this is where we're going to start getting challenging. The reality of it is, a doctor makes money if you're living and unhealthy. That's their way of income, and I'm not bashing it, that's just reality. So when I cover some of this stuff, understand that I had thought about going into medicine. I started down to travel within medicine, started looking that direction in my life when I was in college. I started seeing what they did, and I went, that's not comfortable for me. I wanted to be in prevention. Have you ever heard something like an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure? Okay? So we're going to talk about cancer. We're going to talk about reality, though. I'm going to be very, very blunt. Some of this will be fun. Some of this will not be fun. Some of this will be pretty intense. I don't mean it to be. I have some facts real quick. I'm not a fact guy. It's one of the reasons I have to have this. And so here we go.
It's probably one of our kids.
Wow.
Sorry. I'm turning it off.
Yeah, I'm in.
Lights on.
So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to get you in the right mindset. I want you to understand something. Over 50% of you will get cancer. Right? Anybody got a guess, real quick, how much, and if I told you, don't blurt it out, because some of you I told. That'll warn some of you. Take a guess how many or what percentage of cancer is preventable. I told you.
100%.
50%. No, I didn't tell you. I know. That's what I said. I was excited. I heard you blurt out. If I haven't told you and you blurt out, I'm excited. So the ones I've told and they blurt out, I stab with my expo.
100%.
100%. You're actually really close. 97 or 98% of all cancer you did to yourself. It is not a random act. It is not the universe. I've heard people say, well, the universe is against me, God's against me. It just randomly happened. It's self-induced. Now, not to be harsh about that, it's just reality. They say if all you did was alter your diet to a 70% alkaline diet, which we'll talk about high alkaline diet a little bit later, but a 70% and got active 3 days a week, 60% of all cancer across the world would be eradicated. If all you did was eat alkaline and got active at least 3 days a week, 60% of all cancer would be eradicated in this world. That came from a small little study. It was a global study with 8,000 clinical studies that they put that sentence I just put together in front of you. Okay, here's a little bit of history real quick. This is why I got real passionate about cancer, why I'm really, really excited about this subject, because I believe that what I'm going to arm you with, nobody in this room should get cancer. Because if 2 or 3% of all cancers is a random act that they can't explain, the likelihood that you will get one of those 2 or 3 are not diseases you've heard of. Breast cancer is not random. It is a choice, or poor choices, which I'll prove a little bit. It is a fact of life. Can you fix it? Yes. So if you, and I want you to get in the right mindset. I'm open. All I'm trying to do right now, and some of the people have seen me speak before, all I'm doing right now is I'm doing this. You ever seen where you've got a can of, what? Mushrooms.
Peanuts.
And you really, really want to throw them away, but you feel guilty not dumping them out. They all know I hate mushrooms, so that's why they're doing it. So you're trying to open the jar, right? And it's hard, okay? This is you walking in after a day, okay? And what all I'm trying to do is go, because once your mind's open, we can get something done, okay? Pop the top, that's what we call it. So if you ever see us talk about that, okay? So let's talk really, really, really quick. I'm going to give you a couple little facts. Somehow I moved my thing. In 1971, Richard Nixon signed the National Cancer Act. Okay? That's when he said and proclaimed, we are losing the war on cancer. 1971. Okay? He unleashed an army of doctors and researchers with more than $100 million in an all-out effort to cure cancer. By 1973, we had chemoradiation, and that's the last significant cancer thing we've had come out. Okay? It kills more than it saves, but I digress. And I think if you paid attention the last couple of days, anybody heard of a little guy who had cancer? He's about 5'9½". Coach Flip Saunders. Flip Saunders did not die from lymphatic, which is just an immune suppression disease. Okay, he didn't die from that. What did he die from?
Pneumonia.
He died from radiation and chemo.
Radiation.
Yeah. It killed him. Literally. They couldn't turn it around, his immune system shut off, and it killed him. He didn't die from the cancer. Matter of fact, his cancer side was already treated. So anyway, That's really sad. Today, on average, the same institute, or the same research groups, they get about $6.5 billion from the U.S. government. They get another $7 billion from organizations, I call them companies like Susan G. Komen. So somewhere in a neighborhood of 13 million, or billion, not million, $1 billion every year is given to cancer research. Okay? Now, what is their greatest achievement in that time? What are they pitching right now?
Big ribbons.
Early what?
Early detection.
Early detection. Okay? Now I'm going to give you a little background on what happened to me here not too long ago, because it has to do with a lot of women are mostly concerned about it, but it happens to guys too. But one day I was, you feel kind of weird, and you're like, got a little pain right here, and I kind of felt it, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of a lump. I just figured I'm pretty active, I do a lot of different things, and I probably just got hit. It must be just like a contusion, a bruise, right? So I'm not real paying attention, but now I'm starting to really take notice of it, right? About a month later, I had a second one. I now know, because I'm paying attention, that I haven't been hit. So I did a little Google research, and they say when you have a second one, and it comes up quickly, what would women be concerned with? Breast cancer. Okay, so then you go, well, can guys get breast cancer? And you Google that. And I started finding out guys can get it. And at that point in time, you go, oh, heck. And you make sure that your mother doesn't find out until you find out you don't have it. Right, Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, to make a long story short, I went in, and they did the whole, they squished you in, and women all know what I'm talking about. And then they go, okay, well, you don't have quite enough there, so we're going to have to biopsy them. And I'm like, oh, whatever, so they biopsy. And through networking, I got with the, what do they call it, oncologist? Mm-hmm. And this lady is considered the best, right? She knew the disease really well. If you have it, she's the one you want to see, okay? So I said, look, whether I have it or I don't, let's assume that I have it. What would be a protocol I could start right now, right today, if you were me?
Don't drink Monster.
Don't drink Monster. Okay.
Eat a lot of
Yeah.
mushrooms.
And so she sat there and she goes, if it were me, which is something that you're going to hear me say a lot today, but if it were me, these are some things I would do. I go, I'm in. She goes, first of all, if you can buy deodorant in a store, it doesn't go on your body ever again. First thing. And I went, and I know why, because I have a background in it, but I wanted to hear her opinion. She goes, look, there's several things in there that cause cancer. Since they introduced antiperspirant, breast cancer has more than quadrupled in both men and women. This is from her. She was actually understating it by the way. Research says it's even more than that.
Are you saying deodorant or antiperspirant?
No.
Or both?
Both. It's the chemicals that they put in both of them.
And the spray is worse than the roll-on, right?
Spray is worse than the roll-on, correct. But both are,
They're bad.
both are bad. I said, okay. I go, look, and I had already started with Nature Rich. Nature Rich has a natural, deodorant. But I wasn't using it yet. I was really, really excited because we had a fuel additive. I wasn't really, really excited about the other stuff yet. I was brand new at the company. So anyway, I said, okay, what else? She goes, if you can shampoo your hair, do you shampoo your hair? And I said, yeah, I shampoo my hair. If you can buy it in a store, don't use it.
Don't point at me.
Yeah. And I go, and I
But
said,
if you can buy it at a salon.
yeah, if you buy it in a salon. Are you into hair?
I'm a hairstylist.
Oh, sure,
I
yeah.
know, I'm supposed to quit my job. I
Yeah.
work on chemicals.
Remind me to tell a story a little bit later about a hair salon.
Oh, great. Maybe I won't.
No, you have to, they'll remind me, won't you? Has a lot to do with that. I said, okay, and I'll go faster because we were out of time. I said, what's the third thing? Eliminate sugar. And I said, okay, all right, I'm in. All breads, which is bread is sugar, which we'll get into a little bit later. And I said, okay, So we've got shampoo, got deodorant, drink clean water, eliminate sugar. Anybody know the fourth? Or fifth, I mean?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. No, although dark chocolate's actually good for you.
Alkaline.
Dairy.
Alkaline. Soy.
Clothes, laundry.
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 If you can buy laundry soap at a store, don't use it. She goes, even more cancer-causing stuff in there than the other three combined. And I went, She goes, biggest organ in your body, why does that seem so surprising to you? And I'm going, it's not, you don't know what I do for a living, but, you know, a lot of things you start taking for granted. I couldn't believe, here was this renowned, and I point blank asked her right there, I said, why is it that Susan G. Komen and some of these other organizations aren't telling people this? I said, I already know a lot of this stuff, and matter of fact, I've just been lazy with some things and undisciplined, but I can go back to it with ease. I said, I spent a lot of time in my life living that way. I said, I've been a little lazy, and we all do it, right? We all have, you know, times we're disciplined, times we're not. And I said, but why isn't this taught? And she goes, I don't know. She goes, we all know this. I said, when you say we all, she goes, all of us oncologists know this. This is, you know, and if they don't know it, it's because they didn't listen, because we were taught this. And I go, that's really sad, you know. And so, hence why we're doing the class, why I'm hoping, here's my goal in all of this, is, and it's funny because, you know, one of the people that was going to come and see me, they said, well, look, I don't want to hear a pitch about your products. I already take your products, because we sell nutrition, okay? And I said, look, I said, the smallest section I have in what I'm going to teach is the supplement side. It's the smallest section. Everything else has nothing to do with what I do for a living. It's all about being healthy. And he was still stubborn. I said, look, stay home. I don't care. It's over 50%. I just know I'm not one of the 50, and there's two of us on the phone. I gotta go. And it's just, so we're gonna go through real quick. I keep moving my notes here. 1,500 people die a day from cancer. All those billions of dollars, there still is no cure, and even a higher percentage of people are getting cancer today than they did in 1973, or in 71, excuse me. I'm not a fat guy, so I'll shoot through these so I can get to the good stuff. Dr. Charles Majors, considered one of the most world-renowned doctors on cancer. He is accredited in almost every major country. He is considered one of the foremost minds in cancer. He says you cannot cure cancer, which comes from poison, with the poison. He originally was one of the people that was educating people about chemotherapy. Today he's trying to educate hospitals on not to use it. So he's very, very interesting to read about, in case you're looking for somebody. And he goes, and by the way, this is law.
What was his name?
Dr. Charles Majors. His quote, today's cancer treatments are the medical equivalent to fighting fire with gasoline. That's a direct quote. He said that in front of the World Health Organization in the year 2012, I believe it was, 2011, excuse me, that's close. The DNA damaging effects of chemotherapy and radiation is equal or greater than the cancer they're treating. So, again, all of this is to pop the top. We're not to the good stuff. I'm just trying to get you open-minded that there is a better way and a better solution. And oh, by the way, statistically, this wins every time. First option, if you get cancer, if they say you get cancer, what's the first option they're going to tell you? No.
No,
First
surgery.
option before chemo is what?
Surgery.
Surgery. Okay? If you get in, you got breast cancer, they're going to say we got to remove the breast, right? We got to remove the problem. Somebody was talking about colon cancer. Wasn't it you?
Mm-hmm.
And you. And what are the first things? If you get colon cancer, what do they do to the colon?
They take it out.
They cut it. Here's the problem. Okay? We all know that 97 or 98%, depending on which health organization you're part of, is self-induced. Okay, that's fact. It's not hearsay. That's fact. Right from the American Medical Journal. You can go across the board. I've got some websites I'll have you look at. So all of it is self-induced. So they self-induced, it was you that had the cancer?
Yeah.
Okay, so she self-induced, she volunteered and said, I want cancer, by my choices, not being mean, just,
No, that's all right.
okay,
I have a comment when you're done with that.
yes.
Okay.
But we're gonna educate you so you don't volunteer anymore. We'll get to the non-volunteer. So what they do is they say, we're gonna remove the cancer. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Sounds like a good thing.
It's a good thing, okay, get rid of the cancer. There's better ways than removing it, but it's one of the ways. But they didn't eliminate the what? The cause. That's why cancer reoccurring is so high. They don't address the cause. What caused the cancer? We're going to talk about the cause, because once you eliminate the cause, what do you eliminate? The need for a cure. Okay? Why is it we will never, real quick, and this is the last part of the pop top, then we're going to move on. Why is it we will never find a cure for cancer?
Money. Profitable.
Money,
Money. It is
pharmaceutical.
currently, in 2014, the most current statistic, the number 3 most profitable industry on this planet. Number 1 is petroleum, number 2 is insurance, number 3,
Pharmaceutical.
cancer.
Cancer.
Okay? So you can never find a cure. They said if you found a cure, it would shut the American economy down in 7 days or less. It would be a greater travesty than shutting off our oil. They said the only thing it would be equivalent to is eliminate all of our computers. If you had a virus that could somehow get into all of our computers, the only thing equivalent to eliminating and shutting down our economy would be finding an actual cure for cancer.
Is that really true?
H2O.
People smarter than me are saying that.
Yep.
Okay, so, all right, so I said I move on from bottom to top, so here we go. Okay? So if you can eliminate the cure, or eliminate the cause, you have a cure. What is the cause of cancer? What's the cause of cancer?
Chemicals, heavy metals.
Chemicals, heavy metals,
Acidity.
what else?
Junk they put in our food.
Junk they put in our food,
That's not
processed food's a big one. What are some other causes? Let me simplify the cause. Okay? I'm going to put a grand heading and simplify it. Anything that inhibits your body to live optimal. Anything that inhibits the body to live optimal. Okay? Anything. Do heavy metals, are they an irritant? Yes. Okay? And their design is, what are some other things you mentioned? Clean water. Okay? Is having impure water or chemicals in our water, particularly things that cause cancer at a really, really high rate like fluoride.
Fluoride.
Might that be one of the reasons we have so much cancer? Absolutely. Are there ways to address this, which we'll talk about? Everything I'm going to talk about, there's ways to address it, most of which do not involve our company. Okay? So what are some other things that can do there? What are some other irritants?
Back injuries.
Back injuries. So injuries, can they cause cancer?
Stress.
Absolutely, they can. We'll talk about that. Stress can. High levels of
Vaccines.
stress.
Vaccines.
Vaccines. Don't get me going on vaccines. Okay? In case you didn't notice, there's 2 different ways to stabilize vaccines. One is squalene, one is mercury.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Do you know all the soldiers that are struggling with what when they come back?
PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress have squalene shots. The ones who had standard mercury do not have post-traumatic stress no matter what they went through.
What? What's the
Mercury or squalene?
What's
Squalene attacks the basal part of your brain back here, the stem.
Base itself.
So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of squalene. So, and I mean, I'm not a big fan of mercury either. There's better ways, but if you're going to have one or the other, find out what you're getting. Guess what most flu shots have? I digress.
Mercury.
Squalene.
Squalene.
I want you to think about that next time you get your flu shot.
Yeah. So, okay.
I'm still gonna get my flu shot. Just eat healthy.
All right. Here we go. So now we get to go where I get to have some fun. Okay. So there's 5 things, what I call the pillars of defeating cancer or never getting cancer. Okay? So we know the cause is the cure and the cure is the cause. Okay? We already know that. Statistically, it's been proven. Like I said, if we only change diet and getting active 3 days a week, 6 years, all cancer would go away on the planet. Okay? So we know that. So we know there's a direct correlation to some things. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is you got to have the right mindset. Okay? So I'm just going to write mindset. You got to maximize your mindset. You have to go into it. Okay? If you have cancer, okay? And I'm going to give you 3 things I would say in the mindset category. First of which I would say is A, don't be a victim. Don't be a victim. You, and again, I was saying this gently, but we chose through poor decision making or lack of awareness in decision making to have cancer. Accept the fact that that decision making led to the cancer. Accept it. Okay? Because through that acceptance, then you can go, if I caused it, I can fix it. Through that acceptance. So what caused it, I can fix it. So the first thing I would say is don't be a victim, be a killer. Go, you know what? I caused it, I'm going to kill this SOB. And you have to have an attitude. They say that attitude will decide whether or not you make it. That was the thing that they were trying to get at the end with Flip. Flip was a devout Christian. He goes, it must be my time to go. And he accepted that path. Not saying that's bad because I'm very Christian. I have a strong faith as well. When it's my time to go, I'm going to go, you know, hey, I'm going to go tired. I'm going to go, oh, how you doing? Been praying for you every day. Glad you're here. Glad I'm here. Wouldn't mind hanging out longer, see my kids grow. But I get, you know what I mean? That attitude of saying, I'm going to become a killer. I'm going to defeat. Okay, so the first one is don't be a victim. Number 2 is become the killer. Become the killer. So if you have cancer, first thing we say is don't be a victim, then 2 is become the killer. What become the killer is you're going to do the 5 pillars, which is number 3. Okay, become the killer and then do. So if you have cancer, don't be a victim, become the killer and then do. And we're going to talk about the 5-step. Okay, so you have to have that mindset. Okay. The other thing is you have to decide who you're going to follow. You're going to have to decide who you're going to follow. And I say this very delicately, but there's really 2 mindsets that are out there. One is the medical view, and one is a health view. The medical view says I can poison you to death, and we'll see who wins. That's what chemo is. Okay? Here's how, I always tell, again, this is when you're seeing with someone with cancer, it's always scary, but they go, I'm going to go the medical route. I'm going to go, okay, great. Okay? Because you don't want them to go against the route that they're on. Does that make sense? Because now that you create fear in their mind or uncertainty, that's not a killer mindset. A killer mindset is, I'm going. Right? So if you're going to go the medical route, I'm going. Right? Go into it. And if you know me, I'm going to say, go into it, but let's go in guns a-blazing, and let's do some other things on top of medical. That's great. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to do. So what happens is on the medical view, they're going to poison you to death. And if you're going to do chemo, do what's called IPT. Okay? What that is this. Say your name again. Lindsay. So Lindsay had a friend called, you don't have a friend named, you have a friend named Julie? Samantha. Mordecai. Do you have a friend named Mordecai? Thank you, Michael. Okay, so we got Mordecai. Okay? So Mordecai has cancer. Okay, it's a friend of yours. And you're going to go to Mordecai, you say, Mordecai, here's the deal. Cancer lives on sugar. That's what it lives on. That's what it needs to live. Okay, it eats it. What IPT is I'm going to suggest to Mordecai, you will, in the future, you're going to say, take IPT type of chemo. What they're going to do is they're going to take Mordecai and they're going to have not eat for 2 days. We're going to have them live on what essentially, because I was doing research, is just simply what our equivalent would be neutralizer. All neutralizer is, in case you wonder, is electrolytes and water, pure water. Okay? And they're going to say, we're going to have you do IPT, and they're going to live on electrolytes and water for 2 days. There's no sugars, gets it out of the system. Then they're going to take Mordecai, Lindsay, and they're going to inject him with insulin, which will take out even more sugar out of the system. Everybody got this? And then what they'll do is they'll take chemo, add a little sugar to it, and since the cancer is starving to death, it wants to eat the sugar because it wants to live. The chemo goes with the sugar, gets sucked into the cells, and that's how they attack. It's IPT. If you're going to do chemo, that's the way you want to do it. Because now the chemo is literally attracted, the cancer sucks in the chemo because it wants the sugar so bad to live.
So does it do less damage on your body then?
It does less damage because now it doesn't go all throughout the system. The cancer really sucks it in and kills, and that's what IPT. So if you're going to do chemo, that's the way to do it. Remember I said there's 2 paths? I wouldn't say it's ideal, but there are people, let's face it, you guys, I'm expecting you guys to become teachers. You're going to go out and talk to people with cancer, and they're going to want your advice and go, hey, look, if you're going to go this route, then really investigate IPT. It just means they're going to take that sugar and use it to their advantage, that craving of sugar. Make sure this is not my wife. Yeah, take it. If it were my wife, I'd take it.
Or your mom.
Or my mom. Yeah, my
But
mom.
she can just yell tonight.
She can. Okay. Okay. Dr. Ralph Moss, M-O-S-S. He's the author of 8 books on cancer, graduate of New York University, graduated cum laude, Stanford also graduated cum laude. He researched over 5,000 studies. He found not one single study that chemotherapy cured cancer or extended life. He is considered the U.S. most foremost knowledgeable person on chemotherapy. He found no extension of life with chemotherapy. He found, which we'll talk about, that the body's ability to heal was much more effective at killing the cancer. And even when they hit, if they could figure out a way to eliminate, and we'll get there. Okay.
But they did nothing that had better chances than chemo?
No.
No. You have to make some pretty drastic changes. What he found was if people would do the 5 pillars, they had a lot higher chances of survival than chemo. And usually people who died from chemo, they wouldn't die from the cancer, they died from the chemo. And then if they didn't die from the chemo right away, they would die from the secondary effects of the chemo radiation or secondary cancer. So, again, we weren't going back to that, I popped in the top. His suggestion is eliminate sugar, clean your water. He had a number of supplements, which we'll talk about and why. That way you starve the cancer, and you overwhelm the body's immune system to overwhelm the cancer. Which, when we talk about overwhelm, that's, you'll see. Cancer cannot overwhelm a healthy person. Okay? Ta-da. Okay. His opinion, and this is why, again, he's considered the country's foremost. He said it boils down to this: there is one cause of cancer, and therefore there is only one cause of cure. That's where the majority of this, the rest of this come from. So we have the maximizer mindset. Number 2. Maximize your nerve system. That's right, max nerves. What does that mean? Maximize your nerve systems.
Get rid of your stress.
What's that?
Get rid of your stress.
Lower your stress. What are some things that cause stress? What? Jobs. Wife. Oh.
She's not here.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
We all know Teresa. Okay?
She can handle it.
The year was 1913. Anybody know what was going on in 1913?
The end of World War IV.
Some were.
No?
When did it start?
War hadn't started yet. 1913, we were just finishing up one of the largest flu epidemics that has ever hit this planet. They found out there were two types of people, those who survived and those who didn't. The Great Flu. If you had chiropractic care, there's two different types of chiropractic, which we'll get to in a little bit. You had your chances of dying were reduced. You were 1/14 as likely to die from the flu, even though you had all the same flu, same age, same demographics, same food. They didn't find any difference from those who survived and those who didn't, except chiropractic people survived 14 times more than the ones who didn't have chiropractic care. Why is that? Non-chiropractors. Why is that? And I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not pitching them, it's just reality.
The body's aligned, it's less stress.
The body has less stress when it's anatomically aligned. The central nervous system works directly with your immune system. Think of your nerve endings. They're everywhere. Everything you do is a nerve ending. Every movement is a stimulation, okay? When that is a frequency off, okay? And the best way I can do it and describe it is, have you ever listened to a radio that's one number off? How long does it take for your blood pressure to go up?
Long enough to reach the knob.
It doesn't matter if it's your favorite song. Taylor Swift, Lindsay. It doesn't get any better than that. I don't know a single song she sings, but I hear she's very pretty. That's all I know about
I
her.
hear she's very pretty too.
Yes, you heard about it. You get my point? It could be your favorite song, but if it's 1 degree off, it'll literally raise your what?
Stress.
Stress level, your blood pressure, everything goes up. When your vertebrae are not anatomically aligned, particularly in the two major points in your body, okay, so how you know if you have what's considered a health chiropractor or point of injury chiropractor. This is how you know. They will adjust your cranial seat and your butt. If they only do one or the other, a point of injury, they are not a health chiropractor, they're a point of injury. Okay, which one makes the most sense if you want to be healthy? Point of health or point of injury? Point of health. So if you want to know which one you have for a chiropractor, if they always adjust here and here, that means they're a health chiropractor. I don't know which one, well, I know which one you are. I don't know which one you are, Lonnie, but I know enough about you, I'm assuming you're both. Better your health. Make sense? And when they're aligned right, Miss Christina is also a chiropractor. Okay. And she's my chiropractor, so I have to know what she does. Here, yeah, that's right. So, when you're anatomically aligned, your central nervous system will tell the little soldiers, there's multiple ones, that send out the ammunition to combat cancer. Or it'll go to where it's sore. So all of a sudden, if you're always sore, you're always 1 degree off on the radio, your central nervous system is telling your immune system, send the soldiers there. It's bugging me. And the cancer has an opportunity to grow. It's that important. So making sure that you are anatomically aligned. And in fact, they go as to say that you should do this no less than once a week, even if everything is correct. That's their suggestion. It's not my suggestion, just research says that. Right? I don't know what your guys' opinion, I don't really care at this point. I'm going right off research. So, okay? So chiropractic care. Now, without it, your immune system can't be healthy. Can't be healthy. As a matter of fact, every study that they have a depressed immune system when when these 2 points are off. Cranial seat, and what do you call it? Lower, what?
Sacrum.
Sacrum. That's the word, I couldn't think of it. Thanks. Knew you guys would know. I could look it up, but why should I do that when I got you here? Okay, hold on. Okay, it's messing with me. There we go. Went all the way away. Okay. Any questions about central nervous system? Okay, this isn't a chiropractic training, I'm just telling you, they consider this the second most important thing to defeating cancer. And yes, these are in order. First thing you gotta have is a what?
Mindset.
Mindset. The mind is wrong, you're gonna lose. Okay? Second thing they're gonna say is you gotta have the two things functioning at maximum. One is your CNS, central nervous system, the other is your immune system. So take a guess what number 3 is. Getting your immune system correct. Okay, maximize your nutrition. That's the only way your immune system can be healthy, is maximize your nutrition. Okay? So let's address what that is. So we got 3, I'm just going to write nutrition. We'll just write nut. You can do your nut dance later.
I'm a little nut.
I got some mixed nuts.
Okay? So you got to maximize nutrition. What does maximizing nutrition look like? Okay? According to health organization, the World Health Organization, it means eating alkaline. A cancer cannot grow in an alkaline environment. Never. Ever. Now watch this. What was that lady's name where,
Charlotte Kirsten.
hold on. The one where you were mad at me. You guys were in the backyard, I was in the front. Mike left, I was cutting a tree, the little firewood. What was that?
Mark
We were just there
and
last
Judy?
week.
Judy, Mark, and
Is that Mark and Judy?
Mark and Judy?
Okay. So Judy defeated cancer. And she went chemo, and then she went way into the 5 pillars. I mean, she's, right? We all know the type, right? There's going into it, and then there's holy shnikes, right? She's a holy shnikes. And it was a lot of fun for me to talk to her because I know a lot of stuff, and she was bantering back and forth, and pretty soon I said, let me ask you a quick question. When you were in the oncology room, when you were waiting in the room, she goes, yep. I said, you got this visual? And she goes, yep. I said, when you were there, yep. I said, I said, I'm going to be Nostradamus for a moment. Okay, because if you know me, I like to be a screwball. And so I go, look, I'm getting a feeling. And what's so funny is she didn't know I was messing with her, right? You all know me. My mom knows me. I love to mess with people. So I'm going, and she goes, really? And I go, yeah. I got this feeling. It's a loving feeling. And I started singing, but I won't sing now. But anyway, and I said, how big was the bowl? I get this feeling there was a bowl. She goes, I know the bowl, and so did he. And it was a bowl of candy. Every oncology that you go in will have a bowl of candy. What does cancer eat to live?
Candy.
Sugar. And I could tell 2 people in particular, hopefully you've forgiven me by now, when I said that doctors make their money to keep you alive, but not healthy. And if that isn't proof, and it wasn't that you came in and you went, you should give up all your candy, put it in here, we'll give it to the little kids so they get cancer. I mean, we'll give it away, we'll give it to people we don't like. No, it was, here, you have cancer, have some more.
let's feed your little babies.
And she goes, it was this big, and then later on we brought it up again because we brought it up with him around, and he was describing how big the candy bowl was, not knowing I had already messed with her and what, this whole deal. And I think you guys were up there. It's amazing. Okay? So nutrition plays a major role in your body's ability to be healthy. First thing that you need to do when you get nutrition is eliminate sugar. If it lives on it, eliminate it. What is sugar? Any bread, any milk, any sugar. What's that? Any pop. Pop for 2 reasons.
Oh, yeah.
3 reasons. First of all, carbonation is cancer causing. So when it's carbonated, it's cancer causing. Right there. Carbonation and cancer, bad juju. Anybody know what movie that's from? Bad juju. Ice Age. The dodo birds. Okay. understand it. Okay?
Was that the first one?
Yes, it was the first one. Okay, so, eliminate sugar. Eliminate breads. What's the best thing you get out of breads? Pesticides.
Cancer.
It's not fiber. That's one of the worst fibers you can get in the whole spectrum of fiber. It's one of the worst. Fiber. You want good fiber, I'll give you an alkaline diet with fruits and vegetables that have great form of fiber without cancer-causing things in it. Okay, so the best thing you got out of bread, I know it tastes really yummy. You can't have it's hard to have a brat without bun.
It's true.
Okay, but if you don't want cancer, eliminate the bun. Okay, all right, so everybody got this? So nutritionally, eat alkaline. Here's some things, real quick. Everybody wants this, I'll make a copy for you, but here's some good things to eat. Okay, I'll go through them really, really fast. Okay, so we're talking about nutrition. Grass-fed meat. Grass-fed meat, particularly if you want a really, really good one, venison, elk, bison are the top three. Wonderful, they're lean, they're grass-fed, hopefully.
I sure hope so.
Okay? Most bison around here that you get is grass-fed. Why don't you want corn-fed? Because of GMOs in the corn that they're giving. GMOs in almost every major country in the world, when you consider major, any of your bigger countries, Russia, Australia, Europe, GMOs are banned. You're not allowed to even bring them in to feed their cows and pigs. They will not allow GMOs in their country, and yet we live on them. Thank you, Monsanto. Don't even get me going. The rest of the day, I just bash Monsanto if you let me. Okay, I won't. Fish. Cold water fish, salmon, mahi-mahi, which is flipper. So not the dolphin type. It's not flipper, it's dolphin, yeah. Bad joke there, Robert. Mackerel, halibut, those are ideal. Particularly Pacific and Alaska oceans. Okay, they must be. Cannot be pond. Okay, they actually spray them down so that they are pink if it's salmon. They're no longer pink. They're not full of something called xanthan, which is really, really critical to your diet, which we'll talk about later. Okay, eggs, particularly free-range eggs. Okay, you notice the theme here? Free range,
Back to the farm.
free willy, you know. You don't want stuff that they're putting a bunch of GMOs in. They're very, very toxic. Okay, they're also very acidic. GMOs fed animals, and that's very, very acidic, which again you're away from. We want to be alkaline. Poultry, free range, naturally raised, antibiotic free. Because the antibiotics are full of what?
Chemicals.
What was that chemical you said earlier? Mercury?
Mercury.
Yeah. So antibiotics, yeah, they put mercury in there for the poultry. They don't have the same laws that we do. Since the chickens aren't being eaten, of course. Let's put heavy metals in there. Sorry. If you are going to have whey protein, which I would recommend different protein than whey protein. Egg proteins, there's a number of proteins, particularly if you have a protein, you want to have something in there that'll break it apart. That's why PSP is in our protein, this type of mushroom, but there's a lot better. Whey in guys are not ideal. Soy in guys is even worse. But if you're going to have it, make sure it's organic. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. Oh. No,
Soy
I saw
is
hers.
bad for me.
Yeah, soy and guy, soy protein in guys, unless you like being more feminine, probably not a good recommendation. I'll just leave it there. Raw nuts and seeds, particularly almonds, cashews. The super nut is the walnut. The super nut is the walnut. As much as you could eat walnuts, wonderful. Dairy products, just no. Just dairy, just no. Okay?
Oh, you were out from the farm?
Raw from the farm because, first of all, we're not built to digest it, it's better. Because homogenized pasteurized milk is an acid. It literally takes calcium out of your body. If you drink milk from the store, it literally takes calcium out of your body. So you have a higher level of osteoporosis, you have higher levels of disease, you have higher levels of mucus, you have higher levels of cancer-causing things. Just no. Now, if it's free range, a lot, even farm ones, they're given certain levels of corn, which is GMO. Almost all corn anymore is GMO. I mean, there are very, very few corn that's not GMO. So, if you can eliminate, but if you are gonna have dairy,
Pepper jack is fine then?
pepper jack cheese is wonderful. No, it's not, but I eat it, my favorite. I hear no, he'd probably come tackle me. My son likes it too. But if you are gonna have dairy, then you wanna have it non-pasteurized, non-homogenized. Okay? And add to that if you can get free range. But it's not, let's put it this way, there's not very many good things in even that type of milk. Okay, buy a goat, yeah.
Yeah, I have a nephew who just loves milk, but he has, I can tell he has issues, like with mucus, like he said, it's like, how do you change a 6-year-old? He's not my kid, so I.
That's the problem, he's not your kid. If he was, you'd just smack him.
Right, you just
Yeah.
can't have it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's some things you can do. Again, some of you know, and I'll be just really candid, there's milk in my house every once in a while because we have cereal. I'll throw neutralizer in there because it literally neutralizes the acid it adds, so it's no longer acidic. Is it ideal? No, but at least it's not acidic and taking calcium out of their body. Calcium is one of the 4 regulators in your body. If you have a lack of it, you're in trouble. And so I put our neutralizer with just simple electrolytes in there so it's no longer an acid. But it's still not ideal. I do the same thing when I get farm milk. These guys hook me up and they get, it's non-homogenized, non-pasteurized. And it's still not ideal, but I will still throw neutralizer in there. I'll still make sure that whatever goes in their body, mine has high levels of alkalinity and electrolytes, just the way it is. Protein tip really quick. You should have protein in every meal. Okay, but you shouldn't have fruit and protein in a meat form in the same meal. So in other words, Lindsay, right? Lindsay had a pumpkin protein, almost looked like pudding today. Okay, you could have fruit with that, right? Because there's not a lot of calories. There's certainly not any fat in there. Because if you have high fat, high sugar, what do you really have?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay, so a turkey sandwich is really ice cream at a molecular level. So you could have the turkey by itself, it wouldn't be so bad. But if you add bread to that turkey, you have ice cream. Yeah.
Fruit with nuts and stuff like that?
Fruit with nuts is okay, but even there you don't want to have too much. If you're having it like a snack a little bit, you want to keep the calorie count down. But ideally, fruit is designed to be by itself. You want to know the best way to eat fruit? Just have it by itself. You go, man, I got to have fruit 3 or 4 times a day, which is really healthy. Okay, having an orange and lemon, having these 2, 3, wonderfully healthy. Just have them by themselves. That's an ideal way to have your fruit. There are the acids, and certainly there is some sugars in there naturally. They're complex sugars, particularly because they have so much fiber in. Like you take an orange and you juice it, so there's no fiber, it's an acid. But if you have an orange and you eat it, it's alkaline. If you have an orange that's been squeezed in any form that's an hour old or more, it's an acid. Any form. You just killed the enzymes. Okay? So everybody good with protein? We good? I'm trying to.
Put fruit in a salad with chicken.
What's that?
You shouldn't put fruit in a salad with chicken.
If chicken is in there, yeah. The leanest chicken is about 22% fat. Yeah.
What do some nutritionists say you should eat protein with your fruit for the slow digestion?
They're not. How do I delicately say this? I don't think I can. So I think I've been pretty mean so far, so I'll just continue that theme. I would say that's, first of all, anytime you have meat, you have slow digestion, period. Okay? So why would you need to have slow digestion for your fruit? Okay, if you have the fiber in it, if you're having an orange and you're eating the orange, literally pulling peels off, it's an alkaline, there's fiber in it, you don't want to slow it down, it's going to do its thing naturally. There's living enzymes you want in there. The only thing that you're going to do, potentially, if you do that, is have IBS. It's going to irritate your bowel system, and if your bowel system's irritated, you do not have a healthy immune system, period. So, I wouldn't, that's advice I wouldn't have.
Right, I knew
Take it.
that.
Yeah. But you're going to have people say it. So, again, fruits by itself, meat can have with vegetables and you should have meat. People say, how many times should I eat? Most common thing, research says, is 5 to 7 times a day. Small meals, it doesn't hit your system so hard, okay? Let's talk about good, bad fats real quick. Anything hydrogenated. I mean, just right there. Anything, we'll go there. Corn oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, those are all bad. Okay? Just simply, those are bad. Trans fats, margarine, horrible. Synthetic butters, horrible. You have a choice? Butter. It's just simple fat then. Can we handle fat with not getting fat? And the answer is yes. Okay? I'll give you a quick scenario that a lot of people don't know real quick. So people go, I'm not giving up my pop. I just had this conversation with somebody with cancer. Not giving up my pop. I said, well, first of all, it's extremely acidic. The average pop is about 3.5 on the acidity scale. Horribly. And she goes, well, I'm just not giving up. And I said, okay, fine. But promise me this, switch to regular. And she goes, what? And I said, switch to regular. I go, there's less chemicals in regular soda. And oh, and by the way, it's 1/3 as fattening. Because she drinks the diet because she thinks the diet's going to help her stay less fat. Diet pop's 3 times more fattening and 3 times the amount of chemicals. And multiple of those chemicals cause cancer. So I said, if you're going to stay with pop, switch to regular, but eventually you should, if you really, really want to beat this cancer, you should eliminate the pop. So, anyway, some good fats. Any raw nuts, any raw seeds. Animal proteins, like I mentioned, the good animal proteins, ideally. If you're going to have meat, bacon is the least carcinogenic for any red meats. The worst, most carcinogenic meats, like you were saying, you beat cancer, you're recovering, or you're a cancer survivor, thriver. We're going to get you thriving, but you should never have grilled food, grilled meats.
Or red
So
meats.
any red meats grilled are extremely carcinogenic, extremely acidic. It's the worst. So if you're going to have the least volatility of the body, would be baked. The worst would be grilled. And guess who loves grilled food? Yeah, there's several of us in the room. There's some things to counteract it, but she's a cancer survivor. It should be off her list. She's a cancer survivor. It should be off her list.
I didn't have the chemo or anything though. Mine
just
was
had the-
just by surgery.
Good.
Yeah.
So your recovery rate is a lot faster. The average chemo takes 26 months to recover, immune system wise. They're compromised a minimum of 26 months.
What, 15 years ago?
Does that include smoking?
What's that?
29.
Does that include smoking?
Yeah, smoking bad juju in general, yeah.
Yeah.
Smoking.
Oh, smoking meat? Yeah, that's in the middle. So baked, smoked is not far off from baked. Okay, smoking is, and
So
again,
my ribs are good.
smoked ribs are good, yes. Okay, some heatable oil. So what you should cook with. Coconut oil is best for high heat. So if you're going to have a high heat, use coconut oil. For medium heat or lower, try not to let it smoke, would be olive oil. The minute it gets hot enough that it starts smoking, that's a little too hot for oil. One thing I've learned in all this is, first of all, I don't use nonstick pans. There's a lot better nonsticks. You can go to Walmart even, they have those, they're green.
The green stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually better. The nonstick is literally formaldehyde. To show you how volatile it is, if you have birds or cats that are around there while you're cooking in a formaldehyde, which is not Teflon, these nonsticks, it'll kill them. So it's putting on your food. So the green, I actually did some research, the green is actually really non-carcinogenic. They really found good things on it. And then you can cook your meats or your other things in just simple water. So, lot better. Okay,
We're stainless, sir.
what's that?
Put the stainless.
Yeah, stainless is better, but I mean, a lot of people can't afford it. Cast iron, again, those are good. The only thing in cast iron they have is some of the treating process in cast iron will have a little bit of lead in it. That's not ideal. So you have to get a better cast iron. Cheap cast iron will have a little bit of lead in it. They use it when they're forming in the molds, I guess. Okay, carbohydrates. You already heard me talk about breads, I don't need to go in there. What is the best thing to get out of breads? Pesticides, yeah. So there's just high glycemic carbohydrates. Vegetables like asparagus, bamboo shoots, bean sprouts, bell peppers, cabbage, wonderful. Anything dark leafy green, wonderful, beautiful. Those are great things.
How many Asian food?
What's that?
How many Asian food from now on?
There you go. Fruits, berries, blackberries, blueberries, boysenberries, elderberries, wonderful. Gooseberries. Granny Smith apples is considered the highest on the glycemic index, which is in the good side. You want a high glycemic. So if you want an apple, Granny Smith has the highest.
That's if you're juicing.
What's that?
Low glycemic.
Yeah, low glycemic, high fiber. Excuse me, I said it.
I was
Thank
Why
you.
you make
confused,
mouth
I'm like,
water?
that's-
Low glycemic, high fiber.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, so Granny Smith was considered the best out of all the apples. So I have a complete list. Anybody who wants to have it, you can have this. We'll make copies. Okay. All right. So do we kind of go through the food category? That's eating alkaline. If you want to get information, all you got to do is eatalkaline.com. There's a million different sites that you can go to and learn how to eat alkaline. It's a wonderful way to eat, and again, the body loves it. It's very cancer defeating. It's very cancer cure, and that's a word you can use when you talk about eating alkaline. And you'll hear when I talk about supplements, I can't use cure and supplement in the same sentence unless I was in a different country, which we'll talk about. Okay? How are we doing? Real quick, before I move on to there. Cancer defenders. So in her case, I would say she's a cancer defender. She doesn't have cancer anymore. She defends against coming back. You are beating it now, correct? So these are things that you would consume a lot. She would consume regularly. Okay? Green tea. Green tea is wonderful. You want to have it in the morning and noon because there is some caffeine in green tea, but it has something there called EGCG, which is a wonderful anti-cancer causing thing. Very, very good for you. Okay? Also has, according to cancer research in the UK, it literally helps prevent DNA damage. Okay? Broccoli. These things I'm going to go through. The best thing to say is take up greens. You want living enzymes, greens. You want to take it, if you've already beaten cancer and a defender, you want it about 3 times a day. If you're in the mode where you're a cancer killer, I would suggest, based on research, where you're taking stuff 7, 8 times a day, taking greens. And the reason greens are, it's your enzymes. I'll talk real quick. Have you ever had a doctor say to you you should take probiotic? Have you ever heard that? Okay. Let me explain this really quick. There is in the neighborhood of 2,000 different types of enzymes in the body. Okay? Each enzyme has a job. Okay? Probiotic is 3 of them. Okay? Is it help? Sure. Is it ideal? No. What's a much better form to get this?
Juicy.
Activia.
Raw green vegetables, and you want to stay in about 70 to 80 different varieties in a week. The more the better, because now you're going to approach 2,000 different types of enzymes. Probiotic is this much of what you need. The clinical study they took it from in the 80s said enzymes are really important. They identified at that time, technology-wise, 3, and that's where we get this from. Today they've recognized that we have about 3 pounds in a healthy body of enzymes in your body on a 24-hour basis. A cancer victim has about 1.5 pounds on average.
Really?
Okay? And part of the reason is that they have cancer is a lack of enzymes. Plain and simple. Enzymes is your body's ability to go fight the battles that is introduced to your body every single day through stress, bad food, bad liquids, bad air, okay? So it's really, really important to understand, although probiotics, I'm not saying are bad, it's this much of this much, a much better form. That's one of the reasons that we, and again, I didn't know this, and again, our greens have 93 ingredients, thank you. It's an inside joke, I make up numbers because I think it's ridiculous. I'm not a detail when it comes to these kind of things. There's 93 ingredients. What I did is I literally took out what each ingredient, what enzyme it carries. Take a guess how many different types of enzymes when you break down each ingredient are in ours.
About 2,000.
They literally, and all they did was say, this green feeds this body. Give you an example, riboflavin, or however you want to say it, is really, really good for your liver. So they found certain types of grass, or greens, in this particular case was a grass, that had a lot of riboflavin in it, so it feeds the liver. All they did was take all the organs of your body and feed it everything. CoQ10, what is it good for?
Heart.
Your heart. They know that, so there's CoQ10 in here. So it makes sense? So again, I'm not just saying it because they're greens, I'm saying it because that's reality. You don't want greens. How you know you have a good greens? Because there's lots of company with greens that have similar ingredients. If you put it on oatmeal and it doesn't digest it, you have food coloring.
What do you mean by digested?
It'll literally break it down, turn it into liquid. Okay, so everybody goes, well, I am, you know, there's companies out there, I won't mention any, but some say it works, you know, stuff like that. And you can put it on there, it can sit for a week and it'll still be oatmeal. It'll just be dried out. You put our stuff on there, it literally starts turning it into almost a milk. Literally those enzymes go in and eat it. Put it in water, leave it in room temperature, come back in 2 days. If it doesn't taste like alcohol, you just have food coloring. That's a way to tell if your greens are effective. That's not, have anything to do with our product, but you leave ours for half a day, you'll start tasting alcohol. I've never tasted alcohol, so I taste it half a day, I'm like, ooh, can't do it. Okay, so, what's that?
What are you talking about?
Enzymes.
Oh,
We have greens, which is 93 different ingredients of living herbs, or living nutrition. So this, other companies, you can go to Walmart and you'll see greens. Okay? And the easiest way to test it is just make oatmeal, split it in half, put ours, put theirs, and ours will digest it, theirs will sit there for days. Yep, just make oatmeal.
with that?
No, I mean,
Make
make
oatmeal,
oatmeal,
put that in it. Just
and then
sprinkle
put ours
it
on
Sprinkle it
top,
on top.
put theirs on top, and theirs will do nothing. It's food coloring, ours will literally digest it. That's how you know you have living enzymes. You can take probiotic, do the same thing. Most probiotics come in a pill, sometimes you have dropper, put it in oatmeal. Most product you find out is just a junk. What's that?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's 4 different, because it's in the greens. It's not, we don't add probiotic, it's in the greens. But there's also 1,996 other different enzymes, because they're in the greens, okay? But we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. Here we go. Give you a quick little fact about food nutrition. This is a global perspective. This is right out of dietandcancerreport.org. Dietandcancerreport.org. The report by AICR, I'm not going to get into that real quick, but look at dietandcancerreport.org. It is the World Cancer Research Fund. It took 5 years to complete. 7,000 scientific studies, clinical studies. The most comprehensive review to date ever published in Science linked cancer to our lifestyles. 1/3 of all cancers worldwide will be wiped out with diet and exercise alone. Here's some of the things they found. Glutathione and curcumin, which curcumin is from what? Turmeric, however you want to say it. There were 35 clinical studies indexed in the website nlm.nih.gov, which is nothing more than the National Library of Medicine, real quick, NLM, National Library of Medicine. 35 studies said that curcumin and GPC's ability to reduce chemotherapy harmful side effects.
Not GPC.
Oh, not GPC, glutathione. Our GPC is glutathione. So glutathione, curcumin, substantially reduced harmful side effects of chemoradiation and substantially increased its effectiveness. Okay, so glutathione and curcumin, which we have two different products that have those, substantially reduced the harmful side effects to radiation and chemo and substantially increased their effectiveness. So, let me go back. I made a comment to you earlier. I said I wouldn't bring you in, so I'll just make the comment. Okay? So I said, you're going to have some fun. She goes, I got to bring everything to my doctor. What's when a doctor says, when you talk about supplements, what do they automatically do?
No.
They don't work?
Cringe.
Right? Heaven forbid. There's no clinical studies that says that helps.
But they'll tell you to take vitamin D.
They'll tell you to take vitamin D and omega-3s now. They have to by law. They also have to tell you to take a daily vitamin, and if they don't, they can lose their medical practice license. There is 7,000 clinical studies that said curcumin, we don't
There
have
isn't any up there.
Okay, pretend that's curcumin and glutathione directly help in keeping you healthier and directly help effectiveness. So if your doctor says no, have them look up that website. Oh, you have one? Thanks. Okay? Vitamin C in helping with cancer. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 clinical studies proved its effectiveness to eliminate cancer, eliminate stress and harmful side effects of chemo, and radiation. Did you hear how many studies? Anybody got
40,000.
40,000. None of which any study ever showed a harmful side effect to any of the ingredients I just mentioned.
Is vitamin C in those two?
GPC.
It
The
is.
C and GPC.
Yep.
Okay?
What if you're not worried about,
What's that?
what if you're not worried about radiation and
Glutathione, let's talk about it. In the studies, said that high levels of glutathione, high levels of resveratrol, high levels of omega-3, it's in our stuff, okay? Lowers your cancer to almost non-existent. So in other words, if you have high levels of those, you can abuse your body and every once in a while have grilled steaks.
Grilled mushrooms.
Wow.
Wow, you guys are not mushrooms, Michael.
can't
You go great with steak.
Yes.
They're
Evil.
Is that a mistake?
Okay.
What is?
I know some
what
girls.
So, again, it's really, really important to understand that your body, when given the right ammunition, can do amazing things. It's the easiest way to describe it. Supplements are a portion of it. Notice we spent, the first thing I hit was eating right. You cannot supplement your way to health. You can't drink a bunch of pop and eat an acidic diet and think supplements are going to save your butt. It just can't be done. But if you eat sensible and supplement, good shot. If you're in the battle or you're a defender, you have no choice. You're gonna, in my opinion, you fight it like hell. You eat alkaline like a machine. There are side effects to eating alkaline, by the way. Okay? Anybody know the side effects to alkaline and alkaline diet? Oh, what's that?
More energy.
More energy,
Better, less.
sleep better,
Less aches and pains.
less aches and pains, weight loss,
Better
mood
skin,
elevation,
Better hair.
Better skin.
better skin, look younger. Those are side effects.
Sounds horrible. That's miserable.
The only thing I got out of that was the better skin. Well, it's something.
Yep.
I guess I have to say less.
Resveratrol, Which one of our stuff has resveratrol?
Curcumin.
Curcumin.
It
Okay,
is, okay.
Curcumin.
thank you. 8 clinical studies indexed by the NLM, okay? Again, harmful side effects, and 19 studies said it absolutely eliminated the body's ability to get cancer. 19 clinical studies, okay?
Curcumin?
So, yeah, so these are products I would take. Are they the only products out there? Are we the only one that has curcumin?
No.
No. Are we the only one that has glutathione?
No.
No. Are there some good ones out there? Yes, but I'll tell you most are not. Just simple bioavailability, I'm not saying right or wrong, it's just reality. We have a very, very good one, that's why I'm with this company. I've done a lot of study. And again, from a business point of view, our pay plan is probably a C. When people go, because a lot of people get into multi-level marketing just simply for the money. We're a C pay plan. I've been in 2 A+ pay plans, both those companies are not in existence. I said, if I ever got back in the industry, I would go product first and not care about the money, because the money will come if you've got a good enough product. So we have a very, very good product. We're not the only one. I'm just saying that it's the one that we have. If you've got a great source, use it. Okay?
If you have a pill, it's.
Nutrition. Or excuse me, next one. Maximize oxygen and lean muscle mass. Okay? So maximize oxygen and lean muscle. When we talk about getting active, it's not just going out and lifting weights. Because when you think of, from a guy's perspective, when they think of going to the gym, most guys think of doing what?
Pump some iron.
I got a pump strong, I got a bench. Right?
Pump you up.
And they'll go out there and they'll bench. And they don't do any cardio. Okay? If you do one and not the other, you have almost no effect.
What? What happened?
Okay, everybody got this?
No.
So in other words, let's use us as an opposite. This isn't her, and it isn't me either, but let's just say for a moment, because Becca goes to the gym from a woman's perspective. Most women go to the gym, what do? Cardio.
Look in the mirror.
Hey, let's do the treadmill. Or let's,
Do they look like that?
yeah, I was trying to look like her. Okay, so again, cardio, is maximizing oxygen important? Yes. But you get almost no health benefit if all you do is cardio.
What?
Same thing, I go to the gym, I'm one of those meatheads. I must bench. What do you bench? I bench 300. Really, I'll lie, I bench 320. Right? It's just, and they go there and all they do is lift weights. Do they get a health benefit? Almost none. When they say getting active, that is cardio and weights, both, at about equal time is what science says. So if you go in, you go, I got 45 minutes, 20 minutes cardio, everybody following with me? 20 minutes lift, 5 minutes bragging to somebody how much you did. Okay? Break it in half. If you got a half an hour, do 15-15. They say you should work out for a half an hour 4 times a week to maximize or more. So again, I'm going to go back to, if I were in your situation, it'd be 4. If I were in your situation, how many times? Every day. What's the difference? One's a defender, which most of us are in the defender range, so 4 times a day. One's currently in battle. She's got to be a cancer killer. There are hormones that are released when you do both of them that are very cancer-killing hormones. So in her case, I'd say, let's go to battle. So if I were her coach, I'd say, guess what? You're going to be with me 7 days a week. If you have to have a day off every once in a while, you better figure out how to get your workout without me. And I'm going to teach her how to work out every single day. Can you lift weights every single day? Absolutely. You just don't do the joint 2 days in a row. So when you're working out every day, I might go, we're going to work your right arm today. And the next day we may work left arm. And the next day it might be right leg, because in order to get at her age, yeah, I know. And if you lift like this, you don't lift like this. They're raspy. I teach mechanics of weight training. There's some very, very stupid things taught out in the world as far as workouts. But Anyway, that's a whole, if you want to learn how the mechanics of working out, that's anyway. But we would literally, because you don't do, hey, I'm going to do chest, and then the next day do back, because what are you doing to the joints 2 days in a row? Beating the crap out of them, using her words. But you said I couldn't pick on you, so, but I'll steal your word, right? You're beating the crap out of them. That's you get high levels of inflammation. Inflammation good for cancer?
No.
No, bad juju. Okay? So it's really important to get active, maximizing oxygen and lean muscle. Number 5. Okay? Eliminate toxins. Okay? What are some toxic things I already talked about? So we can kind of go quick. What are some things?
Deodorant, laundry soap, shampoo.
Laundry soap, shampoo, deodorants. Okay, are those critical? Absolutely. Are they easy changes?
Yes.
Yes. Incredibly easy. Okay? Because what I would say in this case, because she works in the hair industry, remember I said I was going to tell the story? Years ago, I was working with eliminating toxins. Don't let me forget, come back to detoxing.
Okay.
So I was working with somebody and she was concerned that she had breast cancer. Okay? I was in another company at the time and she came up to me and I was a product trainer for them and so she's going, thinking, I go, look, if I were you, I'm not a doctor, if I were you, I'd make some changes. And she goes, what's with her? So the first thing you do is detox. Every person in the room should detox at least 2 days a month. How do you detox? Live on just nothing but nutrition. So she would have her pumpkin protein instead of any other meal. You just live on supplements 3 days. It gives your immune system, which is really your digestive system, a break. So I said, look, let's detox. I said, let's do a 4-day detox. She goes, great. 3 days into it, she calls me up. She goes, you need to come out to Hutchinson, Minnesota. And I said, why would I want to go way the heck out there? And she goes, because I'm out here. Okay, she goes, you got to smell me.
That's different.
That's what I said. And I'm going, I think you can just tell me. And she goes, no, you won't believe this. You got to smell me.
Put it in a jar.
Okay, you got my attention. And I'm a sucker for these kind of things anyway. I said, fine. She goes, I'll be at the gym. Hutchinson is a big town. When you come into town, I don't know if it's Highway 12, it must be 12. Okay? Come in on 12. It's been a while since I've been out here. She goes, the gym's right on the right side, right when we come into town. You'll see such and such. It's been years ago, and I don't remember what it was, but I saw that, and then I saw the gym, so I pull in, right? She goes, stand there. And I go, okay. So I walk over, I got over, and I go, ooh. You had a perm. She goes, I haven't been in a salon. I used to be a hairdresser. I believe the number is 8 years, could be 10, but I know it's at least 8 years since I have been in a salon, and I've never had a perm, even though I worked there, I got cuts. She goes, I've never had a perm. That's the chemicals coming out from being in here. She goes, my feet are even worse. Okay? Now, are there some industries that have a lot of cancer? Yeah. I'm not being mean, it's just reality. So in her case, I'd go, look, you're in the hair industry, use your shampoo. You're in the hair industry, use your shampoo. Ours will make it just as soft, but it's hard to sell something you don't use. Right? If you're in the hair industry, one of the ways you make money is selling shampoo. Right? I mean, it's just, you know, those people who, you know, I get my hair cut and she goes, oh, would you like the brown bottle or the blue one? I look at her and I go, I like the white and green one. What? I like the white and green one. Do you have that here? No. Then I'm good. We sell soap. Real cool, catchy marketing name. We sell soap.
Moisturizing.
And then we have moisturizing soap. We're really catchy. We're trendy. Better be careful. We don't have something like Nexus. What's the other one? What's the one where they had the herbal essence? Remember those commercials? Yeah. We don't have cool names like that. Okay? No, it wasn't good soap though either. But I'm telling you, watch that commercial and you go, I might have to get some of that. Baby, would you look at me like she looks at him if I get that soap?
Smells so good.
No. And I'm not getting the soap. So what I would say in this case, if you're in that, I would say sell it, but then I would go, hey look, make sure all your other soaps, all your stuff at home doesn't continue to tox you out. And if you're in an environment that soaks in a lot of chemicals, I'd say instead of 2 days once a month, I do 4 days in a month. Separate them, but I would do that to give your body's ability to clean out. Okay? We have things like laundry soap, we have natural, you can use our softener as a toothpaste. I tried that one, that really tastes bad, but it's natural. I had to try it.
I tried it as conditioner and didn't work.
Yeah, it's,
Soap is awesome.
yeah, the soap's awesome, your hair feels really good. It's what I
Grows
use for it.
faster too.
Grows faster? I didn't know about that,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, my hair grows.
How would
really
you know?
fast. Okay, so one of the things you have to do is eliminate toxins. Okay, I talked about what are some other things? Eliminating heavy metals. Anybody ever heard of that? Okay, what's the only known substance that they can document has gotten rid of heavy metals out of the system? Glutathione. If you want to get rid of heavy metals, use glutathione. There's lots and lots of clinical studies. Heavy metals will exacerbate cancer, accelerate it. It's an irritant. Okay? And some of the things that cause heavy metals.
Is that an amino acid?
What's that?
Is that an amino acid? Glutathione?
Glutathione's a type of protein and but yeah. What's that? Go ahead.
What about colonics and heavy metals and stuff like that?
Clogs. How do you
Makes your hair
broach
soft.
that? Makes your hair soft? Okay, watch this. Why do
Where's the?
colonics, we'll just go on this little tangent for a minute, chase this scroll. Why do colonics make your hair soft?
Hydrates you.
Hydrates you. No, that's not why.
It cleans your.
It cleans your lower intestines and your colon out. And therefore it functions better. When it functions better, your hair is softer. Your hair is supposed to be soft.
Thank you for reminding me to go to the.
Yes, you should. Yeah. Okay.
Different lady.
Brian?
So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I have a question too on
Yeah,
sunscreens.
go ahead. What about sunscreens?
They're no good for you.
No.
Okay.
The more sunscreen you have, the more skin cancer you have.
Mm-hmm. I just learned that.
Okay, so what is something that's going to, what is the cause? Let's go back to the cause. What's the cause of skin cancer? Is it sun?
No.
No, because otherwise other countries where people literally live their entire days and existence out in the sun would have skin cancer. I mean, think about it. There are still places in the world where literally all they're wearing is a little chunk of leather.
Brazil.
Yeah, not exactly what I was talking about. But they live their entire 24 hours existence outside. They come in at night and they live in a little hut. They live and work and breathe 24/7 their entire lives. And they have almost zero skin cancer. So why is it we have such a high level of skin cancer? Because of the choices we make in things like laundry soap,
Your toxins.
toxins, sugar, acids. Something to do with suntan lotion. Matter of fact, if you have high levels of omega-3 and zeaxanthin in your system, you can't burn. You don't. I didn't burn one time this summer, and there were lots of times that I was out all day long. And last year, I can guarantee you I would have burned. No questions asked. I'd have been tomato, and I wouldn't have liked it. I'd have been crabby and sore and miserable. But I didn't burn one time. Why? Because I'm taking stuff that has high levels of zeaxanthin and omega-3. That's it. So when you give your bodies stuff, what's that?
She just realized that she didn't sunburn this
I
summer
didn't
either.
sunburn at all this summer either, and I normally am, I wear screens because I burn.
Yeah. So suntan lotion is not the problem. It's a lack of ammunition
Wow.
in the body to combat harmful effects. That's all it is. And when you don't have that, we get in trouble.
When did you want to go back?
What's that?
When did you want to go back to the?
What was the question again?
Detoxing.
Toxins. Okay, one second.
Detoxing.
Detoxing. Okay, I talked about it a little bit. Here's how you detox, and you should on a regular basis. For 2 days, you live on nothing but non-digestible nutrition. In other words, requires no digestion. Non-digestible nutrition.
Juicing is a big one.
Juicing, you could do.
That's
Very expensive, but it's really effective. And you want to have those juices, when you're juicing, how soon after you juice or less? 1 hour. So the problem with a lot of juicers is you juice it and then you take it to work and several hours later it has no enzymes in it, now it's just sugar.
Or they put it in the fridge for the week.
Yeah,
Don't
Yeah.
use aloe.
you don't do that. It just dies. The enzymes die. When the enzymes are dead, your nutrition's dead.
All the books say though, you can leave it 2 to 3 days in
Yeah,
the refrigerator,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not-
Yeah. Not according to science. Science, there's a lot of things out there. You know, there's a lot of, here's the problem. Somebody will say, you can let it sit a half an hour. And then somebody else wants to write a book. And they go, oh, you can sit 45 minutes. And somebody else wants to book, you know, you could really have it stay an hour. Because you have to change a certain amount. Okay? So it's the same thing that would happen with fitness. What's the advantage to doing 3 sets, right, over 1? What's the advantage?
Body gets a break.
Michael?
Cardio.
Cardio. No. There's no cardio effect in that type of movement.
Body gets a break.
No?
No?
Injury.
Well, you know the answer. The only thing you get more of, do you get more muscle if you bench 3 times as opposed to 1? No. You do not get stronger benching 3 times over 1. Logically, does that make sense?
No.
So, what's your name again?
Eric.
Eric? So Eric, if I were your trainer, I'd say, Eric, you can lift 3 times on a bench press or once. Which would you gain more muscle in? What would you probably say?
3 times.
3. Logic, right? The only thing you get by lifting a second and third time is more injuries. Matter of fact, when you lift 3 times as opposed to 1, it's 3 times more injuries. That's the only thing you get more of. And you get more, what's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS. So you get more DOMS, more pain tomorrow and the next day. You get more injuries, more inflammation, and guess who has a higher cancer rate? Athletes.
What?
Because they're doing stupid things.
Stress.
Athletes?
Because you have more stress when you do 3 sets than 1. So if I were to work with you, and I'd say, you're going to lift 7 times a day. We're going to lift that bicep. And we're going to do it correctly. This is how you do a proper bicep curl. It's not this, it's this. Okay? And we're going to do that 1 set. And we're going to go past burnout, which means you couldn't do it. And you're going, I can't do it anymore. I'll help you for 2 or 3. Your muscle's cooked. And when a hot dog is cooked, do you ever have to cook it again? No, it's called what? Reheating. And when you reheat a muscle, you have more injury. So if anybody tells you any different, science does not back them. But if you write a book and you taught the truth 1 time, would you need a second book? No. Nothing that I've shared, the 5 pillars, there's nothing to argue with. If I had doctors in the room, they couldn't argue with one thing I had to say. They cannot argue that glutathione is effective at not getting cancer or eliminating cancer, and they can't argue with the fact that if you have cancer, the effectiveness of the drugs they give you. They can't argue with it. I took it right out of their journals. They can't argue with resveratrol and curcumin. Can't argue with it. That's why I gave you the studies and how many thousands have documented and duplicated the exact same outcomes. They can't argue with an alkaline diet. They can't argue with when you eliminate toxins, you should drink clean water. Should drink clean water. How much water should you drink a day?
Yeah.
A gallon.
6 glasses.
Gallon. No.
Rule of thumb is your weight. You know, half your weight in ounces.
Half your weight in ounces. Okay? So let me give you an example. When Becca was working for her fitness championship, she drank a gallon, she wouldn't have made it to the competition. Right? She wouldn't have made it. So you have to have a formula that works. Now, the formula works unless you're going to work out excessively or you're a sloth. So if you're a sloth, you may go half my weight in ounces. Guess what? You might be peeing a lot. But at least you get up and move. Okay, but it's half your weight in ounces. Okay? How many of you ever seen the commercial? I just saw it just a couple days ago. You should have 8 glasses of water a day. Anybody see that commercial when you're watching the Vikings game? 8 glasses.
Big glasses, hopefully.
Arbitrary. It's everybody heard the expression PFA? Pulled from air? Okay? Because again, it has to do with, everybody's different. If you said her and I should drink the same amount of water, can you see a physical difference between the two of us, not just gender? Just simple size, muscle mass, and unfortunately table muscle that I have and she doesn't. I mean, there's a significant difference. What's the side effect of drinking half your weight in ounces? Lose weight, healthier, softer skin, look younger, less cancer. Those are side effects, again, proper hydration. Less PMS. Those are kind of good things, guys. Less menopausal effect, those good things. Those are side effects. So clean water is part of cleaning out getting toxic, or getting less toxic. Those are things that are really important. Yeah?
My heart doctor told me not to drink very much water.
Wow, how do I do this?
Get her in his office.
Yeah. Okay. Here's why they're doing stuff like this. It's the same ignorance that you still see proliferating in our medical system. Okay, so if you go in, it's Lindsay, right? So if Lindsay goes, oh my gosh, doctor, last night I passed a kidney stone. Oh, the pain, right? Did it hurt like heck, I guess. People have had it, you've had it, right? Horrible pain, right? Right up there with giving birth to your 2 daughters.
Yeah, it's worse.
It's worse.
Because there's no break.
Yeah. Okay, everybody got it? Horrible pain, right? She goes in. What's the first thing that over 90% still to this day, even though they're taught? This is why I'm angry about it. They're taught differently. Because if you go to medical journals, they're taught differently. But logic, they don't follow, they go to logic instead of facts. What will they tell Lindsay to do?
Less calcium.
Less calcium. You have stones because you have too much calcium. No. You have stones because your body's lacking calcium. The body goes, oh my God, I must store anything I get. Anything. And I'll put it in fatty tissue areas. I'll put it, well, we only know that we don't have calcium if we have them in our kidneys. So that's where we know whether or not we have it. So if we don't have it, we better store it here. That's why you have kidney stones. It's a lack of calcium.
Can you get rid of them?
Sure.
Yeah, they'll test the stone to see how much calcium is actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it's a lack of calcium. That's a gentle way I think I can say it. It's your body's way of storing it. It's nothing. Those tests, again, there's never been a study ever that proved what they had to say is right on those studies. Ever. So I'm not trying to be mean to it. There just hasn't been. I can find thousands on vitamin C, but they'll dispute vitamin C. But yet they'll say cut back in calcium, even though there's never been a study that said that's true. But there's lots of studies that have proven that a lack of calcium is why we make stones. You see where I'm going with this? So water is one of the most essential things to the human body. If you have edema, which is what? Storing water in the body. Why do you have edema? Because your potassium is out of whack, and what else? You're lacking water. So what do they give you when you have edema?
Water pills.
Water pills. Therefore, you always have edema. Guys, I'm not doing this to bash doctors. These are reality. These are medical realities. Not saying anything. They couldn't argue. They could sit here and they may even prescribe water pills. They can't argue with those facts. Those are facts. We may disagree on the solution. They go, well, water pills have helped people. Name one. Name one. You get the 5 pillars right, they don't have edema. All the water pills did was make you pee, make you store more water, and you have edema the next morning. It never cured anybody. There's no edema water pill cure effect, ever. Never has been. So the reason I say this is there's two ways to look at your health. There's going, look, I'm going to look at reality of getting healthy and what those are, and one that's not about getting healthy, it's about sustaining life. Not maximizing life, sustaining life. So I sustain life and I take water pills, he gets a kickback every time you re-prescribe. Every time you get an unnecessary mammogram, he gets a kickback or she gets a kickback every time. Those are realities. So again, I'm saying those and not to bash them, because again, if they were here, I'd say the same thing. It's to say, you have the ability to take your life in your own hands. You have the ability to take your own health in your own hands. I'm not saying you got to give up everything or give up being a hairstylist. But I'm saying if I were a hairstylist, I would do the same thing she's doing. I'd still even promote shampoo. Why? This is my livelihood. But I'd also say, if I'm in that environment all day, I'm going to detox. I told you, all heard me say it. I would do, instead of normally we detox 2 days out of a month, I'd say in her case 4, if I were her. That's just reality. Why? Because I want her to maximize life. And if you don't get rid of those chemicals, somewhere along the line, it will bite you in the butt. You have no choice. All cancer is a sustained irritant in the body, and eventually your body says enough. And it'll mutate, and that mutated is called cancer. That's all it is. That's it. It's not a, there's no, like I said, it's not something where the universe or God's got a vendetta or the devil want all these kind of, it's personal choice. But that means it's a personal choice to beat it or never get it. So, any questions? We're at 9. Look at that, I even finished on time. Any questions? I threw a lot quickly, especially towards the end. Yes?
What about cancer that's hereditary?
Great question.
Okay.
I
The
was
number
gonna
one question
ask
that if you
that.
go
I know,
into
I asked it for you because you didn't raise your hand.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to stump
No,
You
you
did.
Brian either.
No, you didn't.
You didn't. Okay. The number one question they will ask you is what?
Well, so,
Your name.
no, yeah.
What's the second question they ask you?
You might as well say
How old you are. What's the third question they ask you?
History.
Family history. How much does family history have anything to do with cancer?
Zilch.
Really?
Next to 0.
Well, I must be the 1%, because there's 5 generations of the same type of colon cancer in the same area. All on the top
Sure.
at 50.
Yeah. Okay, watch this. And again, they've done the studies on this, and I've read them, and I can show you, we didn't go into that. But can we agree that certain families do certain things a certain way? And they tend to make the same choices that our families made before them? There's the old joke about the son marries this girl, and he comes home with this great big ham, and she cuts one end off and then the other end off, and then she bakes it, and he's confused. He goes, well, why do you do that? And she goes, well, my mom did. So she goes to Mom, why did you do it? And she goes, I don't know, because my mom did it. And, well, let's go talk to Grandma then. So he talked to Grandma, and Grandma goes, well, I had to do it because my oven was only this big. What they find in hereditary is that you are more susceptible. There's no DNA fact to it. There's no DNA that produces cancer, by the way. When you say hereditary, it'd have to be DNA.
Right.
But what they do
Same
find
gene.
is they're finding trends within families and things that we do that set up the cancer hereditarily. In other words, they make the same choices. We tend to eat some of the similar foods. We tend to get water in the same places. We do some things that we do. So hereditary they're finding, and there's almost no correlation to cancer or hereditary. It's more in choices again. But there are some things in the body that are susceptible more generationally, but they're finding it's still health related. In other words, choice related. So In your case, you may go, hey, my colon is more susceptible, but then I added poor choices in there that my family did consistently.
I agree with that for me, but then the next generation, I shouldn't say the next generation, same generation, different family, second generation down. I guess I'd have to disagree with you, I do really, yeah.
Yeah, and again, all I'm doing is spewing out facts.
Yep. And
When they
everything
did
is-
the research
yeah.
on a macro level, and again, what macro means is they take, when you look at a macro and a health thing, it's 10,000 more people. A micro is less than 10,000, okay? So on a macro level, they found almost zero connection, but they found a tremendous connection to choice. And they found that families tend to make the same choices, and it led them down a path. Particularly in early developmental age, think about it, my kids eat what I tell them to eat. Your kids, they eat what you tell them to eat. We tend to make the same choices, we cook them in the same way. And even if they change, they usually change by their mid-20s. By that time, they could have already been well down the path to not being healthy.
Have you ever heard of Ty Bollinger?
Mm-hmm.
And his Truth About Cancer?
Mm-hmm.
I've just gone through the 9 series,
Mhm.
and you have hit on everything that they had hit on. The holistic, the chiropractic, acupuncture,
Sure.
it's amazing. Anybody that has the opportunity to see that should.
Yeah, and I have.
Did you see them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing, guys, and I'll wrap it up with this. I didn't come up with any of this. I'm not that smart. I'm not the guy that's going out and do the research. I'm just not the guy, I'm not a chiropractor, so I don't know what they know, and I don't pretend to. What I can do is I can read the facts and package it in a way that hopefully makes sense. And that's what I'm good at. I can take very, very smart people's information. Even when I was a personal trainer, I worked with the best. He was the head of the Olympic Committee, but he couldn't sit in this room. There'd be maybe one person in the entire room or two, probably the doctors, that would be the only ones who could sit and listen to him. He was brilliant. But I could take his information, package it so I could understand it, and if I can understand it, you can. So there's nothing that institute or that program would argue with. There's nothing, and I said it, if there was head of surgery at Mayo Clinic, there's nothing he could argue with me on. I don't go in paths that I can't win. Even when you talk about genetics, science wouldn't back your statement. You could disagree, but it wouldn't back your statement. Science says choices, and then a higher or lower risk, lower ability to come back. We all know somebody who's 100 and smoked and didn't get cancer. We all know one of those, right? If you don't, who's that comedian guy? What's his name? George Burns, cigars and everything. We all, there are those. But the reality of it is, how many people through poor choices died prematurely? If you go, and if you really want an education on health, go down to an oncology wing. Hang out and talk to people. It's very, very, very difficult. And especially knowing what you know now, it's choice. And it's choices that a lot of us didn't know. And again, and Mom, Eileen, when a doctor says don't drink water, but science wouldn't back that. 70+% of your body is water. And if you deprive it, it's under stress. If it's under stress, is that hard on your heart? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but isn't that what he was saying, the reason to cut back on water? When you use common sense, it eliminates a lot of stupidity. So, again, like I said, we have products. You weren't coming here to get a pitch, but the reality is, those products science would say would help you. We're not the only one, but we're a very, very good one. And if it's not ours, find a good one. Don't buy cheap stuff when it comes to nutrition. A cheap vitamin is cheap vitamin. If it's in a pill form, I wouldn't take it. If you want to know one way to figure out if you got good vitamin, if it comes in a pill form, don't take it. Vitamins are not meant to be cooked, processed, or have magnesium stearate around it. Magnesium may sound like it's a health thing because magnesium is good for you. Magnesium stearate is not a health product. It's not healthy for you in any way, shape, or form. It's not good for you. So if you can shake it and you hear it like a maraca, that's not a vitamin. That's called fiber. Just take a marble, swallow it. It's the same thing as Centrum. So those are things that, you know, and again, I try to share in a way that makes sense. Not just our company, we're not the only one that has a, oh, does it make sense? Okay, good.
Oh, yeah,
Any other question?
I take your product all the time.
I know you do,
Yeah.
but there's some others who don't. I try to be very respectful of that. You know, we have people that'll come to my stuff that are in other companies, and I try to, they'll come out, well, how does my product sit there? And I'll let them know. Hey, with this, your product line, these are things that would battle cancer. These are things that would battle heart disease. These are some things in ours that might complement that. I don't ever want somebody to switch because of a pitch or a whatever. I want people, if you're excited, like, if you're single, date somebody who's single who wants to date you, not somebody who already has somebody. Make sense? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Obviously, you're not single. I'm not
No, I'm not.
Just be single.
That's right. 19 years. I'm a very, very blessed man. Anybody knows my wife knows I'm very lucky. So, any question? Any others? We went a little over, but I want to thank you. I really do. I know I tried to not offend anybody, but at the same time, I do take some of the things that we're being taught offensively. You know, that's my mom. You're somebody's kid or somebody you care about. I take offense to that. So I take it very boldly, and I try to very, very well prepare. This is, like you said, it's not going to argue. They can't argue because there's nothing in there that would argue with anything that builds around health. Any other track may not like what I have to say. But if it's built around health, there's nothing anybody or any other philosophy is going to argue. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.